Hello members of the VC and anyone else that's watching this. I'm Headley, in case you didn't know, and I've not done a video of my own for a while. I've done a couple with John, the 6-inch pianist, 319, a couple of times, but it's been a while since I've actually got off my fat arse and done one myself. So I thought it was about time. Now, one of the problems, that maybe one of the reasons I haven't done them, is I haven't actually been buying a lot of records recently. What I have been doing though is I've been going back and actually listening to some of these records that you pick up that we put in lovely little plastic bags, shove on the shelves, and think they look nice as a bit of furniture. But anyway, I've gone back and should I pull one out and see what it is? Oh, Tom Paul Glazier. There we go. Oh, it's a whack-a-mole. What else have we got? Earl Thomas Conley. Serious country stuff, that. Anyway, yeah, I'll leave whack-a-mole to Mazzy and other people. Maybe one day. God knows what they'd find. That's the only problem. You get something like John Lee Conley. Anyway. So what I thought I'd do is I'd show you some of the records I've actually been listening to that I own, older records that I've had in the collection for a while, and I've recently gone back to, decide to have another listen to, be it a record that I'm not that familiar with, or have a listen again if it's a bit of a favourite. So let's have a look at what I've got. I've got a pile of little ones, of a few here. So I'll start with this one. This is Dave Ellis. Now, Dave Ellis is a kind of a folky guitar player. This was, he released this this is his album called Album, handy, on Sonnet in 1973. And he's a kind of folky guitar player. Did I say that? And it's basically just him with a second guitar on some parts, played by Gordon Giltrap. He wanted to be Dwayne Eddy, did Dave Ellis, and then suddenly he heard Bert Jansch playing and went, wow, that's what I want to be like. So considering that he's an influence on Dave Ellis, you can kind of get what it is. So this is sort of finger-picking, really excellent guitar finger-picking. Some are instrumentals, some are songs that he's written himself. And he only did this one album and then kind of disappeared. He has come back, actually, in the 2000s with his partner. I think her name is Boo... Oh, it begins with H, can't remember. Anyway, his partner, so he's kind of been persuaded to go back to making music. But this is a classy album. If you like your Bert Jansch and guitar, acoustic guitar wizardry, you'll probably like that. I think it's easy enough to get hold of, this one, Dave Ellis album, 1973. Very nice stuff.
So hitching round from town to town, I feel I've got my head on upside down. Got so many things to do, but I just want to be near to you, 'cause I have been amazed. Yes, I have been amazed.
And because I was doing the sort of folky stuff, I pulled some more folk records off the shelves. And a couple by a guy called Chris Foster. This is his debut album from 1977 called Layers. I dig those kind of robot electric chickens on the cover. Not the sort... It's like a kind of a prog rock cover, isn't it, rather than a folk... it's not even folk rock. I would say this is more traditional folk. He's got a great voice. He's a good guitarist. I mean, he's not the sort of virtuoso Bert Jansch style of guitaring, but very nice accompaniment. And very traditional country, really. It's just him and guitar. Nick Jones plays fiddle, who himself is an excellent guitar player. So yeah, that's 1977, Layers. And then I also listened to his second album, which is All Things in Common, which is from 79. And they're both on Topic. Where's the Topic? There's the Topic label. I think this is a repress. I don't think this is from 1979. That's not an original. It might be. I don't know. Now, this is one of the things I haven't done for this video. I haven't done any research, so I will probably seem even more lacking in information or knowledge. So I apologise now. But yeah, great stuff. Both of those, pretty easy to pick up. If you like English folk music, really check out Chris Foster. I think the back of the first album, it's got a sort of a liner notes written by June Tabor, who talks about him being the kind of a folk player kind of thing. So yeah, those are really nice to go back to. Unaccompanied on some of them a cappella, i.e. and just with a guitar or fiddle. Very nice stuff. That's Chris Foster. Bit more modern. I say modern. I think this was released in 2000. This is the Cosmic Rough Riders. This is Panorama. This is their second album. They were from Glasgow, and originally their first two albums, released in 99 and 2000, were put together as part of a kind of a community housing project, where money was being put in for a recording studio as part of a community studio. And so the two guys, Stephen Fleming and Daniel Wiley, kind of started meeting up at this studio in Glasgow, and they ended up playing on each other's stuff. And then by the time it got to, they'd done it a few times, they thought, well, why don't we put a band together? And so this is it, the Cosmic Rough Riders. And they are a very sort of 1970s West Coast America folk pop, folk rock, country rock kind of thing. Think of the Byrds, and you wouldn't be far wrong. Bit of Buffalo Springfield maybe as well. Very sunshiny, very lovely. In places a bit like REM, but you've got 12-string Rickenbacker kind of guitar type stuff that sounds like the Byrds. Now, I first came to know this when it was when they released an album on Pop Tones label, which was Alan McGee after he left or sold Creation. He started Pop Tone Records, and one of the first records that were released on that was this one, which is Enjoy the Melody Sunshine, and that was 2000, which is the same year that was actually released. But that is a compilation of the first two albums, or at least tracks from the first two albums. And there's a couple of great tracks on here. Revolution in the Summertime was a good. The Gun Isn't Loaded. I think Revolution in the Summertime, I got the 7-inch single of that actually, that was released on Pop Tones. But yeah, lovely stuff. They did a couple more albums after this, and then Daniel Wiley left the band, but they continued as the Cosmic Rough Riders. He went solo, but I understand now the band folded, but Daniel Wiley has started again using the name Daniel Wiley and the Cosmic Rough Riders, although I don't think any of the other members of the Cosmic Rough Riders are actually in that, so it's really just a Daniel Wiley record. But yeah, really nice that. If you like that sort of slightly psychedelic pop rock from the West Coast of America from the 60s and 70s, or 70s really, you'd probably like that. Really nice. I'll put some needle drops to some of this stuff. Okay, this is another one I really like. This is Mother Hen. Now, Mother Hen is a kind of nom de plume, or alter ego, of Jane Goetz. And Jane Goetz was a virtuoso piano player, originally classical, and then really got into jazz. In fact, she recorded or played piano for people like Charles Mingus, Pharaoh Sanders. Sanders or Saunders? Am I thinking of Captain Saunders? Captain Sanders? KFC. It would be good. Actually, I really wish it was KFC was a pharaoh. That'd be cool. They could have, well, Europe, a sort of Egyptian theme. Anyway, not Southern Fried Chicken, would it be? Southern Egypt Fried Chicken. Shut up, Headley. Shut up. Okay, yeah, Mother Hen. So this is it's singer-songwriter stuff, really. It's not jazzy. Maybe in a little bit of places because of her piano playing. But if you think of Carole King, it's not a far cry from that. But I would say it's kind of an amalgamation of Carole King and Randy Newman. I think she writes really good songs, sort of witty lyrics. I think her voice is probably one of the things that isn't her strongest elements. It's a little bit one note all the way through. But I don't really mind that because it works well with the accompaniments. But it's got some great... I actually stumbled across this because I was following the sort of people that are on this. Like, it's got Clarence White playing guitar. It's got Sneaky Pete Kleinow from the Flying Burrito Brothers playing pedal steel on it. You've got Russ Kunkel, Ronnie Tutt. He was in the Flying Burrito Brothers for a while. Yeah, quality stuff. If you're not familiar with that, check it out. If you like sort of singer-songwriter piano stuff, seriously good. I like that. Mother Hen, Jane Goetz. Actually, she worked with Stan Getz as well. No relation. I had to check that up. Check that out. Look it up. I looked it up and checked it out. Okay, something else I've been listening to. I wanted something a bit funky. This is Aura. Oh, hang on. What's the date of that? This is 72, I think. Could be 71. Sorry. As I said, I've done no research for this. So, yeah. So Aura. Lovely. It's not actually a lovely gatefold. I showed this, and James Griffiths said that the main guy, which is his name is somebody Latham, Al Latham. He looks great. He looks like he's in some sort of Jesus Christ Superstar show. But the band look like I don't know, look like some sort of country rockers. But actually, what this is a nice bit of sort of rock and soul and psychedelic, bit jazzy in places. So jazz folk. Should we call it fusion? A bit more rocky than free. The sort of it's free. It's fusion. I know. I don't really go for that type of stuff, but it's a good fun record. It's one of these weird ones where it sounds really good, but I don't think any of the other players actually went on and did much else afterwards, which is kind of odd, really. You can pick this up really cheap, and it's worth, if you see it, pick it up. Bit of funky, rocky, jazzy, soul, funk, key, soul-y, jazzy, funk, cola. Okay, I picked this up off the shelves to listen to. This is King Carrasco. I think it's Carrasco? Carrasco. And this is from 78. This is his album, what is it? It's called King Carrasco and El Molino, the El Molino band. And this is Tex-Mex. It says it on here, actually. Rock and roll Tex-Mex. But it's kind of retro Tex-Mex. It's kind of new wavy. Even though it's new wavy, it sounds very much like the type of thing that you would hear from Sir Douglas Quintet. But in fact, it's got people like Augie Myers playing keyboards on this. It's also got people who played with the Sir Douglas Quintet. They also played with the Texas Tornadoes and Los Super Seven. So they're part of that sort of Latino Tex-Mex music group. He was picked up and signed to Stiff Records in the UK and released his second album on Stiff. This is on Big Beat. It was originally released on a Texas label called Lisa Records. This was picked up by Big Beat and released the same year. But really nice. kind of Tex-Mex rock and roll party time and music. Good fun stuff. Really cool. So that's Joe King Carrasco and the El Molino Band.
Well, I just don't know how I feel. The way she treats me isn't real. Gonna go back down to Jalisco. Gonna find that pretty little girl. Hello, Miss Carol. My name is Carol. Hello, Miss Carol. My name is Carol. Hello, Miss Carol. Will I love?
Just a couple more I've been listening to. This is Joyous Noise. This is from 71 or 72. This is the first album by this group. Now, they're it looks a bit folk rock, country rock, and that's kind of what it is. It has that kind of feel, you know, that sort of music in the late 60s that Van Morrison was making, where it has its foot in lots of different camps, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is. And it's a bit like that. Yes, it has funky elements, it has country elements, it has folky elements, it has jazzy elements, it has proggy elements. But all very nice. I think Joyous Noise is a good sort of sound. It does sound like it potentially could be a sort of a Christian rock record. I don't think it is. But it's certainly going for some sort of spiritual high with the joyful noise that they're producing. I'll put a little bit of that because it's good fun stuff. I've got their second album as well, which does crank up the country a bit more than this one. But yeah, that is the quintessential sort of 1970s rock band, isn't it? Okay, and finally, the final thing I've been listening to. This was a present that Louise got me for my birthday. Louise is my partner. And it was this. It's the First Aid Kit live tribute to Leonard Cohen, Who by Fire. This was released, I don't know, about 6 months ago. And I'd seen the performance on YouTube, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. There was a tribute that's sort of a kind of a big names like Elvis Costello and various other people in America, and it's okay, but this was an incredible performance. It performed in Stockholm, the Royal Dramatic Theatre in Stockholm, and in spring of 2017. And the only thing I'd say about this that's a bit cheeky is it kind of says that it's First Aid Kit. And you've got its First Aid Kit. It's all First Aid Kit. But actually, a number of different other vocalists, Swedish vocalists, sing on the songs. So it's more of a collaborative performance, an evening performance. One thing I like, but also don't like, is that they do a number of Leonard Cohen's poems, which is great because that's an element of his career that's often overlooked, his poetry. But I like what they're trying to do with it, but it ends up coming across as a sort of a GCSE theatre studies performance piece. But not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. Some of them can be very, very good, but equally they could be slightly cliched and a bit, well, let's just say they don't work. And I don't think they necessarily work, but I like they've done it. So it's got all the ones you'd expect. It's got Suzanne, Sisters of Mercy, Who by Fire, Chelsea Hotel No. 2. But they also do things like Everybody Knows, Future from later in his career. But it even goes up to things like You Want It Darker. So it's nice to see them doing more modern sounding, the more modern songs from his career. Great stuff. If you haven't heard this, check it out on YouTube. It's a lovely performance. The band are great. It's so well arranged. It's a lovely night and a good tribute to Leonard Cohen. It's the only First Aid Kit album I have this. I like them, but this is the one I thought I really wanted. And so when Louise got this for me, I was over the moon. So there we go. That's what I've been listening to. Thank you for spending the time to watch that, if you've indeed got to the end. I will be back at some point, I'm sure. So until then, bye-bye for now.